10-round bout, Dingaan, Thobela, and Willy Wise. And, of course, our main event today, the WBU Super Bantamweight title fight, Cassius Beloy and Anton Gilmore. But first, a big matchup here. As we take a look quickly at the tail of the tape, I'm joined by Ring Magazine boxing editor Steve Farhood. And Steve, great to have you here today. Thobela Wise, interesting matchup.
Very interesting, very pivotal matchup, one of those crossroads welterweight fights.
Which we happen to see a lot in the boxing business these days. A lot of these guys can't get fights with other people. We're moving along quickly today, and we'll catch up with you, but we're going to go up to our ring announcer for our introductions.
Our second bout this evening in the international welterweight division. Let's bring in our principals. First of all, here's the Rose of Soweto, Dingaan Thobela.
As Dingaan Thobela makes his way to the ring, we'll catch up with you on the stats. He's coming in today with a 36-5 record, 1 draw, 23 knockouts. Got stopped, though, in his last fight, Steve. Very uncharacteristic for him. The first time he's been stopped in a very long career dating back to 1986.
You know, you have to wonder at this point, Arnie, is Thobela nearing the end? It just doesn't seem like he could take a punch like he could. Plus, you have to wonder, is he fighting out of his weight class? This guy was a former world champion at lightweight, I believe, and now he's fighting welterweight. I don't know if he can take the punch of a welterweight.
Weighed 149 pounds for his last fight, certainly the heaviest he's ever been when he started back in June of 1986.
His opponent for this evening, all the way from New York, William Slick Willy Wise.
And as we see Willy Wise making his ring walk now with a record of 21 wins, 3 losses, 4 draws, very light hitter with 6 knockouts. We really will, he won't be much of a yardstick in terms of testing the chin of Dingaan Thobela this way, Willie.
Very true, Willy Wise. Willy, you know who I'm rooting for in this one, because I saw Willy Wise most of his early fights in New York City. He's a Long Island guy, and Willy Wise has never really broken through. His last fight was a big win against Rivera, a knockout against Jose Rivera, who's a very highly thought-of fighter with a big punch. And maybe at this point in Willy Wise's career, this advanced point, maybe this is when he makes his move. A win over Thobela would really help.
Fight, our judges, Gain and Neal, our other judges, Martin Charney and Joe Horn. Our timekeeper is going to be Dan Litchfield, and our referee, Clement Martin. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 rounds of boxing to follow in the international welterweight division. He's fighting out of the red corner on my left, wearing the white, red, and yellow trunks. He weighed in at 67.3 kilograms. His fight record, 42 fights, 36 wins, 23 inside the distance, 5 losses, and 1 draw. He's a former 2 times WBO and WBH world champion. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dingaan, the Rose of Soweto, Thobela. His opponent this evening weighing at 67.4 kilograms. He's wearing the purple and blank trunks. He's fighting out of New York with a fight record of 28 fights, 21 wins, 3 losses, and 4 draws. Ladies and gentlemen, William the Slick Willy Wise.
Boxers?
Well, Steve, as you mentioned, not only crossroads, Willy Wise had been written off many times. In not that long a career. He started, of course, pro back in December of '88, had a terrific career going, and then ran into a fellow named Stefan Johnson in New York. And first time he got stopped, and his first loss at that point, getting stopped in 4 rounds by Stefan back in June of '92. Got back on a winning ways, and Reggie Green stopped him. Then got also stopped by Shannon Taylor. So it seems that when he does lose, as we start round number 1, he loses via the knockout route.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's lost to the better fighters that he's faced also. And Thobela, at least in terms of name, might be the best fighter he's faced yet. Style-wise, you have to look for Wise, I would think, despite the low knockout percentage, to be the pressure fighter here, and Thobela to be the boxer.
Wise in the purple and black. Dingaan Thobela, he's in the white multicolored shorts.
Break up, so back.
We're scheduled for 10 rounds, coming to you from Wembley Stadium, not to be confused with Wembley Stadium in England. Wembley Stadium in Johannesburg, South Africa. For those of you just joining us, coming up also will be the WBU Super Bantamweight World Title fight with Cassius Beloy, the champion, and Anton Gilmore. A little more than a minute gone by here in the first round.
Beginning of this fight, very important for Willy Wise, because remember, we're looking at mostly South African fighters tonight. Well, he's from New York. He's on the road, and really, you don't want to give the judges a reason to give Thobela a hometown decision here. Wise has to establish something pretty early in this fight.
Well, another interesting thing is when you fight in South Africa, you're fighting at altitude. And I know I just took Johnny McClain over there myself, and again, he took the fight on short notice, as did Willy Wise, and neither one of them had chance to acclimate totally to the altitude. And I remember when I got over there, McClain said, I've got to take this guy out early in his fight with Peter Smith. Otherwise, I'm not going. And he did, of course, first round knockout. And I wonder if Wise is in the same situation here tonight. I know he hasn't had time to get properly acclimated to the altitude. And Willy, though, unfortunately, though, McClain, more of a heavy puncher. Willy Wise, only 6 knockouts in his 21 wins.
Yeah, and I'm a little disappointed Wise is starting so slowly and so cautiously. I don't think a boxing match serves him well here. And as you said, you know, short notice, I would hate to think that he's not in great shape, because he's coming off probably the biggest win of his career, a big upset win over Rivera, and a win here would put him at a higher level than he's ever been.
As we're coming on the 30-second mark here in round number 1, Steve, interestingly enough, though, the big win over Rivera was back in July of last year. And here we are all these months later, and he hasn't been able to capitalize it or even get another start.
And that fight was televised with Rivera. I'm very surprised Willy Wise didn't come right back and capitalize on that win.
10 seconds to go in round number 1. We're scheduled for 10. Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal along with Steve Farhood. Fairly slow feeling out round here.
No holding. Break. Stop. Box.
Round number 2, we're scheduled for 10. Willy Wise in the purple with black shorts. Dingaan Thobela, the white multicolored shorts. In between rounds, Steve and I were discussing Thobela's 2 losses to Orzubek Nazarov, both taking place in South Africa, both going the 12-round distance, and he's never really gotten back on track. Matter of fact, shortly after that, he lost an 8-round fight to a journeyman fighter named Carl Taylor over in England. And then, after a short layoff, finally seemed to get back on track and put together a pretty good win streak of 7 in a row before running into unheralded Jeff McCresh and getting knocked out for the first time in his career this past November.
That's why this fight is so important to Thobela. Is he still a world-class fighter? If he can't beat Willy Wise and beat him fairly comfortably, then I don't know if he is. He's fighting on his home turf. He has no excuse. He's in with a guy who took this fight on short notice. So far, both guys are tentative, and we can only hope the action picks up. But it's a boxing match so far.
Thobela is certainly the stronger puncher. 23 KOs in his 36 wins, however, most of them coming down in the junior lightweight and lightweight division. Moving up into the welterweight category, and as Steve had mentioned earlier, have to question whether he can take the punches at this weight and just how effective. But I got to tell you, he looks like he's in pretty good shape. It's hard to find where that extra fat is on Dingaan Thobela.
Indeed, and it's a little bit of a surprise to me, Arnie, that Thobela is coming forward. Willy Wise, I think, has shown a little bit of a better jab so far, but Thobela's shown the better right hand. And at least this round, they're a little closer to each other. Good exchange here, and you know, they're doing a little more fighting now.
Wise not looking very busy, and perhaps the rust of the layoff, having not fought since July, is having its toll on him. He did fight, though, 3 times in 1996, as did Thobela, but Thobela's last fight coming in November as opposed to July for Willy Wise.
Wise may also be worried about, as you said, the altitude and about the short notice. Maybe he's worried about going 10 rounds. But that's no formula for victory. You know, you have to fight to win, and so far, he's way too cautious.
In retrospect, his biggest win may have come against Jose Rivera, but his best fight may have come in a draw, in retrospect, against Godfrey Nyakana back in September of '93.
It's a long time ago. Willy Wise's career, for a guy who received a lot of exposure early on, fighting at the Felt Forum in New York City, fighting on television. You think, you know, he would have had that big fight by now. Never really has.
He's 30 years old. Round number 3. No knockdowns thus far in the fight. New York's Willy Wise in the purple shorts. Dingaan Thobela in the multicolored white. Sort of a hard fight to call also at this point.
Yeah, I think the first round, very little happened at all, and I called that even just because it seemed unfair to give an edge to either guy. Second round, I thought clearly was Thobela's. He did some body work, he landed some right hands, he was more aggressive. So he established a little bit of superiority in round 2. Let's see what happens here. I'll tell you one thing, though, Arnie, this is not the Willy Wise that I saw fight Jose Rivera. He was aggressive that fight against a big puncher. He's not in with that big a puncher this fight. Look at him backing up. Not really any counter punching. I don't know. This is not the same Willy Wise. I'm disappointed in the way he's fighting.
Are you privy to what his management situation is and why after a big win over Jose Rivera in July that he'd be sitting on the shelf this long?
I don't know if Willy Wise has had. I know he's had different managers in his career. I'm not sure that the management is the reason that he's had problems getting fights since July. It just seemed like he had so much momentum, and you know, I don't know that's been the problem.
Halfway gone in round number 3. Oh, and a good straight right hand by Thobela. Rocks Wise back in the corner. And again, Thobela, a lot of punching power. 23 knockouts in his 36 wins. But whether he can knock out a welterweight will remain to be seen. We do know that a welterweight can knock out Thobela. He got stopped in his last fight by Jeff McCresh.
I would think at this point, Wise's best chance of landing a big punch is when Thobela really commits, as he did in that flurry a few seconds ago. Otherwise, Wise really isn't doing anything, not landing any power punches at all.
And again, is it a combination of the rust from Willy Wise, who has not fought since July, or perhaps nervousness about fighting in the altitude of Johannesburg? He took this fight on relatively short notice. And perhaps thinks that he can keep a few gallons in the tank. But history has shown us that that doesn't work.
Wise should try fighting on the inside a little bit. He landed some good body shots a few seconds ago, but then backed up, and now he's against the ropes, and Thobela's having his own way.
And a nice right-hand lead by Willy Wise, but volume of punches and landed punches certainly in favor of the former world champion Dingaan Thobela. As we begin round number 4, we're waiting to see when Willy Wise is going to really start to let things go. And as I say that, he drops in a nice right-hand lead, and maybe his corner gave him a pretty good talking to between rounds. Starting to wake up a little bit here. Doesn't seem to be. From the times I've seen Wise, I've noticed a much better jab, and you know, seems to establish the pacing of a fight.
He's never been a big puncher, but he's always been a fairly aggressive fighter, and he's not doing that for, you know, we can only imagine at this point why, but he's not an aggressive fighter tonight, and you know, clearly if it continues this way, it's going to cost him, and he'll probably lose on points. And if he takes too many right hands like he did last round, he won't lose on points. He'll lose before the end of the fight.
Good point. Of course, all of Wise's losses have come via the KO route. Been knocked out by Stefan Johnson, Reggie Green, and Shannon Taylor. So if he did lose today by decision, it would be the first time he's ever lost one. Four draws, though. And
yeah,
again, as we mentioned earlier, the most notable coming against Godfrey Nyakana back in September of '93.
You see him continuing to back up. At one point, Willy Wise was a very, very highly touted amateur fighter. When he turned pro, he was highly thought of. I remember he used to come to the Felt Forum with little bags of Wise potato chips and throw them out to the crowd. But I don't think he tried that in Johannesburg. I don't think that would go over too big.
One of the reasons I know about what you're saying about the amateur career is that when he was booked to fight Stefan Johnson, I was managing Ramelis Ellis at the time, and we were offered that fight. And Ellis didn't want to fight Willy Wise, especially in New York.
Right.
Stefan took the fight, and of course he knocked out Willy, which allowed me to say to Ramelis, "See, we should have taken him." Right. Fighters never like that.
Thobela pot-shotting this round. Look at that right hand. He's landed body shots and straight rights, and Wise is taking the punch as well, but not retaliating.
Good round for the former champ, and again, that right hand landing at will as we're coming on the 42nd mark here in round number 4. That's Thobela in the white multicolored shorts, and he's got Wise trapped in that corner again, as he had him trapped in round number 3, but really for a much longer period this time. Really looks like he's in very shaky legs, and maybe this altitude's really catching up to him. Good left-right combination now by Thobela.
Yeah, Wise looks like he'll be lucky to last the distance in this fight. He stays on the ropes like this, he will not make another 2-3 rounds.
And there at the end now, round number 4, another good round for the former world champions from South Africa. Round 5 of a scheduled 10-rounder. These are welterweights. Willy Wise from New York came in today with a record of 21 wins, 3 losses, 4 draws, only 6 knockouts. All 3 of his losses coming by way of KO. And the man in the multicolored white shorts, Dingaan Thobela, 36 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, 23 wins by way of knockout. He's the former WBA and WBO lightweight champion of the world.
You know, Ernie, South Africa right now has so many good young fighters and world champions, too. Thobela was sort of one of the first guys to start the resurgence in South African boxing. He's being forgotten a little bit now with Vuyani Bungu and so many others, and Philip Holiday. And he needs this fight badly to kind of reestablish himself as one of the best fighters in this boxing-crazy country.
Oh, and it is. The resurgence of boxing in South Africa has just been incredible. You mentioned Bungu, Philip Holiday, Botili having a tremendous, and of course in the heavyweights, Corey Sanders up there in the rankings right now. Franz Botha, certainly a credible performance, losing to Michael Mora, and just some terrific fighters out of SA right now. We're just about halfway gone in round number 5, and it's been all Dingaan Thobela thus far. Willy Wise starting off very slow and getting slower.
Not that much on Willy Wise's punches either. I know he's not a big puncher, but he seems to be just really throwing arm punches right now. His jab is ineffective. It was a lot better in the first 2 rounds.
And as we're moving on here, a lot more confidence on the part of Dingaan Thobela, moving in, having a lot of success dropping that right hand in. Now Wise starting to work on the inside a little bit, which is something you recommended about 2 rounds ago, Steve, and it seems to be a little bit more successful as he's going downstairs to the body of the smaller Dingaan Thobela.
Yeah, why not? I mean, he wasn't doing anything on the outside. He wasn't landing right hands or left hooks, so try something in close, and, you know, his body punching looks at least as good as Thobela's, if not better.
Both fighters 30 years of age. Thobela, though, started his pro career 2.5 years earlier than Wise. His starting in June of '86, Wise in December of '88.
I'll tell you, Arnie, right now, Thobela's making a tactical mistake. He should back off, let Wise come to him, catch him with those left rights. No reason to fight inside. He's letting Willy Wise rest, letting him score points to the body. No reason for that.
And as we come to the end of round number 5, we left out one other name and talk about resurging fighters from South Africa, Sugar Boy Malinga, who surprised everybody coming back and winning that 168-pound title for a short period of time. Round number 6, starting the second half of a scheduled 10-rounder. No knockdowns thus far in the fight. Willy Wise from New York in the purple shorts with the black stripe. Former world champion Dingaan Thobela, now campaigning at welterweight. The white shorts with the multicolored stripe. Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal along with Steve Farhood. Coming up, the WBU Super Bantamweight Championship of the World. 2 South Africans fighting. Cassius Baloy, who just won the title from Frankie Toledo, taking on Anton Gilmore. But right now, the former champion, Thobela, seems to have total control.
No holding, no holding.
I have an interesting thing about Thobela, Steve. I have his vacuum cleaner.
Okay. Is that the Thobela vacuum cleaner or his specific?
He was training up at the Fernwood Resort in the Poconos. Apparently went back to South Africa, and I was up there for another fight. And one of the local promoters said, "Gee, would you come out here and bring this back home?" Dingaan Thobela left it here, and he assumed it was boxing equipment. And I threw the box in the trunk and left it in my garage. Expected to bring it out to promoter Cedric Krishna's house. Figured, okay, let him hold it. And after sitting in the garage for about 2 weeks, I finally opened the box, not to find boxing equipment, but to find this incredible vacuum cleaner that he apparently had ordered off of one of the home shopping channels late one night. And wouldn't have worked in South Africa regardless because of the different power.
Right.
So I gave it to Carrie for Mother's Day. And we call it the Dingaan Thobela. I mean, how many kids know? My little girls know about Dingaan Thobela.
Right. You know, I just realized who you are, Arnie. In Hollywood, they play that game, 3 movies to Kevin Bacon? What's it called? I forget what it's called, but everybody's connected to Kevin Bacon through 3 movies. Every fighter is connected to Arnie Rosenthal through somebody else.
There you go. And we got a minute to go here in round number 6. It's a good vacuum cleaner, I'll tell you. It's very good.
More right hands, more of the same in this round from Thobela, and Wise getting hit on the inside as well as on the outside now.
Wise looking very tired, and I think the altitude and the ring rust taking its toll at this point. Again, as we had mentioned earlier, Wise having not fought since July, over a 9-month layoff.
He's falling into clinches, Arnie, and that means his legs are tired.
Watch your head. Watch your
Again,
head.
Thobela would be much better off stepping back, landing that right hand from a distance.
Wise getting on the inside now, but not doing much once he's there, and really looking like he's looking for a place to lay down, but comes back with a little spurt as we close round number 6. We start round number 7. Willy Wise has been the 10-round distance only twice in his career, which spans 28 fights. Dingaan Thobela, 12 times 10 or more. He's been the 12-round distance, 6 of those. So I would say the better long-distance runner would have to be Dingaan Thobela. Combine that with less ring rust and being used to the altitude, quite an advantage coming into this fight.
Exactly, Arnie, and that's why Wise had to establish something early. He failed to do that. Now he wants to fight on the inside to save his legs a little bit. But you heard Brian Mitchell, the trainer of Dingaan Thobela, say, get on your toes and show the jab. I think he has the same idea I do. Thobela would be better off at a distance, so he can get some leverage on his punches and make Wise use his legs, which are rapidly losing their strength.
Wise's last loss coming in September of '95, where he got stopped by Shannon Taylor over in Australia.
No holding, Willy. No holding.
In 2 rounds. If he were to lose by decision today, it would be the first time he ever has a decision loss. All of his losses coming by way of knockout. Thobela looking to get back on track after being stopped in his last fight for the first time in his career by a man who was brought in as a quote-unquote opponent, Jeff McCreesh. And that was back in November, and stopped Thobela in 2 rounds. Totally shocked all of South Africa, if not the rest of the international boxing community.
Now we're seeing a little bit of diversity from Thobela. He's landing some uppercuts. I'd like to see a left hook. Does he have one? I don't know. I haven't seen many from these. He's relying pretty much on the right hand.
And using it, not even throwing it off the jab. He's throwing straight right hand leads. A few uppercuts on the inside. Willy Wise not very busy once he gets on the inside. I was talking with Thobela earlier, and it's not a done deal that he's going to campaign at 147. If you take a look at what he's done since losing to Nazarov, he's fought a lot of those fights in the low 140s, 141, 45, 43. So it's a very good chance that if he's lucky enough to get another world title shot, Steve, he may come down to the 140-pound area.
Yeah, always a good move to fight as light as you can, especially in his case, because he started out, as you said, as a featherweight and had his glory days as a lightweight. Wise is better off on the inside. He's doing his best work there. He's not winning the rounds, but he's landing, and he does nothing when he's on the outside. So why not stay close and pound the body a little bit? He's done the better body work in this fight.
And in this round, oddly enough, in a round where we thought he might really be faded, he might actually be winning round number 7 here.
Yeah, this is his best round since the first, probably.
Question is whether Thobela's a little winded and whether he's taken off round number 7, which is coming to a close. Round number 8, we're scheduled for 10. Willy Wise, he's in the purple with the black stripe out of Westbury, New York. Came in today 21-3, 4 draws, only 6 knockouts. Certainly hasn't knocked down Dingaan Thobela thus far in the fight, who came in 36-5-1, 23 knockouts in the multicolored shorts. Our referee, Clemens Martin, can he be a little bit more inconspicuous? Where has he been?
Either he likes to work at long range or this is the world's largest ring. I don't know. This looked like a big ring, I'll tell you that.
But, I mean, he's letting them fight out of the clinches. They really haven't held on much. And surprisingly enough, when we were talking about this at the end of round number 7, Willy Wise, who really hasn't shown much action and hasn't been very busy throughout the fight, had his best round thus far, round number 7, and actually the first round that I've given him.
Yeah, I gave him the round, but I'll tell you, I did so reluctantly only because at the very end of the round, Thobela seemed to hurt him. And Wise was against the ropes where he doesn't belong, and Thobela just didn't have time to follow up. But that was a scary moment for Willy Wise.
A little more than a minute gone by here. As we've mentioned profusely throughout the fight, Wise has never lost a decision. All 3 of his losses came by way of knockout. Oh, and again, when he's got his worst pounding sitting in that corner. Oh, and a good straight right by Thobela, rocks Wise.
If he doesn't hold, if he doesn't hold, it's going to be over.
Still a lot of time left. Almost a minute and a half to go here in round number 8. There have been no knockdowns thus far in the fight, but all the heavier punches coming from Dingaan Thobela, and Thobela at this point very comfortably ahead.
Comfortably ahead and finding a home with these uppercuts. He comes in with a high guard, and then with Wise bending over just a little bit, lands these uppercuts. That's the punch right now to look for, especially when Wise tries to get inside.
Wise very susceptible to the right-hand lead all throughout the fight, which for an orthodox fighter, you know, a southpaw, susceptible to the right-hand lead, but for an orthodox fighter to continually get hit with that right-hand lead tells you that he's not using his jab and he's keeping his left a little too low. How would you grade at this point the performance of Dingaan Thobela?
Well, I'd like to have seen him gotten rid of Wise already, to be honest with you, because I think Willy Wise looks like he's ready for the taking. But all in all, I think, Thobela established his dominance early in the fight. I'd give him a B to B+.
Do you have to, at the same time, factor in the fact that Wise took it on short notice, the altitude, more rust?
Yeah, and he's the home fighter, sure. I mean, that's why I think he should have stopped Wise. That's exactly why. So I wouldn't be overly impressed with Thobela's performance, but he's done what he's had to do to win.
And again, we got 2 more rounds to go as we end round number 8.
Oh no! Lost a button with no time to spare? Don't panic. Reach for the incredible Buttoneer. It's back and better than ever. Look, Buttoneer attaches buttons so easy it's a snap. There's no sewing, no threading. It works on every type of button. Best of all, Buttoneer fasteners look like thread, but wear much better. Amazing! Hem skirts and slacks in seconds. Repair rips and tears. Turn an ordinary outfit into a stunning designer suit for a fraction of the cost. Decorate vests, sneakers, and more. Now you can attach buttons so fast it's magic with a new Buttoneer. You get 50 fasteners and 40 buttons. Call now, and as a special bonus, you'll get 100 extra fasteners, all for only $19.95. Order today.
Use your credit card and call toll-free 1-800-220-7113 or send $19.95 plus shipping to Buttoneer, P.O. Box 7129, Department number 458, Buffalo, New York. Order now. Call 1-800-220-7213.
Well, as we start round number 9, Dingaan Thobela coming off his best round thus far of the fight, and there have been no knockouts. No knockdowns. That's Thobela in the multicolored shorts, Willy Wise in the purple with the black stripe. And again, the only instructions coming from Willy Wise's corner as we listened in was do it for your son. Now, that's nice, but they haven't told him anything about how to fight Dingaan Thobela, how to stop getting hit with those right-hand leads.
Exactly. No strategy at all from the corner. Just makes you wonder if they're resigned to the fact that Willy's too tired to listen to any strategy or technical talk.
Willy Wise's first start since the big win over Jose Rivera back in July of '96. Almost a 9-month layoff. Thobela coming back here after the first knockout stoppage of his career back in November. As we mentioned, a classic crossroads situation for both fighters, but you would have thought that Willy Wise could have come up with a much better follow-up fight for himself rather than all the obstacles, but it's almost seemed like a desperation move for him to take the fight over in South Africa.
Indeed, and you know, as a substitute, he wasn't the original opponent. You wonder why they took it. You know, was it just money? Did they think Thobela was really faded based on the fact that Thobela was stopped in his last fight? This was a crossroads fight, and I'll tell you, Thobela is crossing the road, and Willy Wise isn't getting off the sidewalk.
And we're halfway gone here in round number 9. Pedro Sanchez was originally booked to take this fight, and he pulled out, which allowed Wise to get the fight.
And Pedro Sanchez is about as tough as they come. Probably would have gone the distance with Thobela. Maybe would have sprung a minor upset.
Sanchez, of course, coming off a loss to Ramelis Ellis.
A wild fight, yeah.
Which has springboarded Ellis into a resurging career. Sanchez ranked in the top 10 at the time of the loss to Ellis. Under a minute to go in round number 9.
Kind of safety first approach now by Thobela. He doesn't seem really as if he's going for a knockout. And I think we'll see probably a safe approach in the 10th. Why not? Because he knows he has the win.
Well, on the other side of the coin, you're dealing with a fighter like Wise who only has 6 knockouts in his career. Light hitter. Obviously dead tired right now. And it'll be interesting to see what Mitchell tells him. One of the few times we've seen Thobela lay on the ropes, but nothing at all on Willy Wise's punches right now. Can barely keep his hands up.
Which is a shame because to a degree, Thobela's been there to be hit. There you go.
And Thobela just got rocked.
Yeah.
Stop. Second.
10th and final round. Dingaan Thobela, former WBO and WBA world champion at 135 pounds. He's in the multicolored shorts. Willy Wise out of New York. Purple shorts, black stripe. There have been no knockdowns thus far in the fight. Steve, how would you have to see it unofficially at this point?
I have it, let's see, we have it 7-1-1 on my card for Dingaan Thobela. Interesting, Arnie, that Brian Mitchell, Thobela's trainer, told his fighter, you don't know how the judges are seeing this fight. You know, I think he thought his fighter fell asleep a little bit in the 9th round, and he'd like to see a good finish. And Wise is punching. If Wise has anything left, he's using it.
Well, I actually gave Wise the 9th round, and I have the fight 6-2-1 unofficially for Dingaan Thobela. And I think Brian was just a little concerned because he's got to, at this point, question his fighter's chin, having gotten stopped in his last fight by an unheralded fighter, Jeff McCresh. And again, he was being lulled to sleep, and Willy Wise landed his best punch of the fight. And now Thobela really starting to tee off on Willy Wise, who came out like a house on fire in the 10th.
A lot of guts Willy Wise has, a lot of guts. He was not in proper 10-round shape to fight. He's taken a lot of punches, and he's hanging in there. Really hasn't even clinched that often.
No, and as we had mentioned, and right up until now, as we see Clemens Martin stick his hand in there, the referee throughout the fight been very inconspicuous. The fighters fighting out of the clinches themselves. Thobela really landing some big shots on the inside now. Looks like if he takes a step backwards, that Willy Wise is going to tip forward. Wise has never lost by decision. And the way Thobela's hitting him now, he may not get the opportunity.
Really, those right hands, sometimes in the form of a right uppercut, are starting to land flush. If Willy Wise is smart, he'll grab, and hold. He can't use his legs anymore, so just get inside and grab. Let the ref break him up.
Oh, Thobela really landing big shots here in the 10th and final round. Can Willy Wise hold on? Referee Clemens Martin separates the two fighters. Big shots now.
Referee ready to stop in. I think one more flurry will bring the referee's intervention.
And it would be a real shame because Willy Wise really weathering the storm. As you said, there were a couple of rounds where he could have looked for a place to lay down and has hung in there. Not known for having a great chin, being stopped 3 times in his career. Looks like now, though, he'll get through this and survive. Unofficially to lose the first decision probably of his career.
Not that it matters, Arnie, but I think this might have been arguably a 10-8 round.
Oh, and here comes Wise back at the last 5 seconds. Dingaan Thobela, former champion, raising his hands. Goes back to what has to be a very happy corner to have jump-started his career again. There were a lot of question marks about whether Thobela still had it after his loss to Jeff McCresh last November. Willy Wise certainly not only has to go back to the drawing board, Steve, but he needs to go back to a more strategic career pattern. You can't come off a big win like he did against Jose Rivera, nationally televised, 10-round decision win, and then take a short notice fight over in South Africa after a almost 9-month layoff. It's just bad.
Exactly. Willy Wise, too good a fighter to be labeled, you know, just a journeyman who goes on the road just for a paycheck.
And there's 10th round action. Big round for Thobela. Looked like Wise could go down at any time, and Wise, though, who again has been knocked out 3 times in his career, all losses coming by way of knockout, will more than likely now get his first decision loss.
One thing I think this fight proved, Arnie, Dingaan Thobela is not a puncher at this weight.
And I have to agree, Steve. But again, you know, I think looking at the numbers and the weights, and this is his first fight back since getting stopped, I think there's probably a good chance from everything you're telling me that he'll go down and campaign down at the 140-pound weight class.
Definitely be a good move. The Rose of Soweto. I don't know how much he has left, but he may have one title shot left in him.
Willy Wise, 30 years of age. And I can also tell you from looking at his corner, 2 out of 3 of the corner people are local South Africans. So came over here with his trainer. Just the 2 of them. Going to take on a fighter of the stature in South Africa of Dingaan Thobela. Won his first title back in September of 1990 against Mauricio Aceves. Won it in Texas. Came over to the States to win it, and only defended that title 1 time in South Africa. Next time out, beat Mario Martinez in California, and then beat Antonio Rivera in South Africa before giving up that title to fight Tony Lopez.
And everybody who remembers Tony Lopez knows that Thobela to win the title, to beat Lopez, that was a great win because Tony Lopez always gave his all. Fighter Tony Lopez, who's very familiar to his trainer Brian Mitchell.
Boy, did they have a couple of wars.
Yeah.
And in fact, the second fight when Mitchell beat Lopez is what retired Brian Mitchell. Now up for our official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a split decision. Judges Neil scores the fight 95-96, Wise. Judge Charney scores the fight 97-94, Thobela. And Judge Horn scores the fight 95-96. The winner by split decision, William Wise.
Steve, this is incomprehensible.
I had Thobela a 7-point winner. Look at the reaction from Brian Mitchell. I don't think Wise thought he won the fight.
Won the fight?
I don't think his corner thought he won the fight. Arnie, are these judges friends of yours? Explain this to me, will you?
Friends of mine. Willy Wise isn't my fighter.
I mean, who are these guys? You have to explain this to me.
This is unreal. Steve, this fight we didn't even have it close. You're talking about the 10th round possibly being a 10-8 round. We've got this fight. I had the fight 7-2-1 for Dingaan Thobela. You had it even wider.
99-92. I called the 10th round 10-9 because Willy Wise came on in the last couple of minutes. I don't get it. Wise was not the aggressor. On what basis do you give him the? You know, the only thing he did well really in this fight was the body punching.